Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the third and final episode of Sim Sunday Extra in 2022, where we're looking at Microsoft Flight Simulator. In the first episode we flew from Fez in Morocco to Malaga in Andalusia in the awesome PMDG 737-800 in the livery of Ryanair. In the second episode we flew in the equally fantastic Fenix Airbus A320 from Palma de Mallorca to London Gatwick. So in this third and final episode we're recreating a real-world flight from here in Rome up to Genoa in Italy on board the FlyByWire Airbus A320neo. And of course the first two episodes were focused on payware add-on aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and in this episode we're looking at the incredible FlyByWire Airbus A320, which of course is free to the flight sim community. So in this episode I'm going to be asking the question, can you fly near study level aircraft between large commercial international airports all for free in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. So here we are in the cockpit of the FlyByWire Airbus A320neo. The bulk of this cockpit you will recognize from the default Airbus A320neo in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's the same one, guys, that you get on all of the versions from the basic up to the premium deluxe. However, FlyByWire have added some massive upgrades to this default cockpit, including here the EFB, where I have just imported automatically my SimBrief flight plan, which automatically provided a departure on runway 25 from Rome Fiumicino, turning right shortly after takeoff, heading up the Mediterranean coast of Italy to Genoa in the northwest. However, the eagle-eyed among you during the opening scenes of this video would recognize the other aircraft taking off on runway 7, so in the opposite direction. So yes guys, there's about to be a runway change. And that means I'll be showing you a lot more of the flight management computer, the FMC, in this FlyByWire Airbus A320 shortly. And of course, those of you who are interested, I'm flying the development version of the FlyByWire Airbus A320. And it's in the AFB that I tell the aircraft how much fuel to put on board, how many passengers will be joining us, and the weight of the cargo. And this EFB overrides all of the manual inputs that you would have to put in the simulator if you were flying the out-of-the-box Asobo version. And to be quite honest guys, this EFB is definitely up there with the one that you will find in the payware Fenix, except when it comes to inputting the performance data, but I'll come back to that a little bit later.
Itero 1383 is cleared to Genoa Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 07 climb and maintain 14,000 feet. Departure frequency is 130.9 squawk 0362.
And I was very correct. SimBrief was briefing me for runway 25, but here at Rome Fiumicino, the departure runway is 07 today. But again, one of the updates that FlyByWire made to the default Asobo Airbus A320 was disconnecting the FMC from the flight simulator. So this FMC is completely remote and as a result provides much greater functionality and realism. So what I did here was go back into SimBrief, update the runway at Rome Fiumicino to runway 07, and then regenerate a flight plan giving me the new departure details.
Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck, on behalf of myself, your captain, the first officer and cabin crew, I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard our flight. We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting to receive final numbers from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way. Flight attendants will be coming through the cabin shortly with a very important safety briefing. We do ask that you give them your full, undivided attention as they review the safety operations of this Airbus aircraft. We do appreciate your business having you aboard this flight. If there's anything we do to make your flight any more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Welcome aboard.
Yes guys, you heard it. FlyByWire have also added cockpit and cabin announcements to this free add-on for MSFS. However, given that we're flying ITA, the national airline of Italy, some imagination has got to be used. Okay, I know I said this video was about flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator for free. However, I do have two pieces of payware to explain. The first one here is SimSmart 2 at a cost of £4 $75, so it's almost free, guys. SimSmart 2 is a very simple piece of software that allows you to calculate your takeoff performance in the Airbus A320. You simply tell the piece of software your departure airport, the departure runway. It will then provide the weather information, and it's your turn to import the configuration of the aircraft. And what pops out is all of the information that you will require to input into the performance page of the FMC. I know when Microsoft and Asobo released this flight simulator just over 2 years ago at the time of recording this episode, the default Airbus A320 in the simulator calculated its own takeoff performance. However, FlyByWire have now made this freeware add-on aircraft a lot more realistic by forcing the virtual pilot to obtain the takeoff performance information and input it into the FMC themselves. And in addition, your zero fuel weight and CFG will be calculated in the EFB.
Flight attendants, arm doors, and cross-check.
You can follow along with the safety information card in your seat back pocket. Please fasten your seatbelt and insert the flat metal edge into the buckle and pull on the strap to tight. The release should lift the top flap of the buckle. Please keep your seatbelt fastened low and tight and press your lap. Use the seatbelt sign is also have it visible to the crew at all times.
You make clearance delivery IT Aero 1759er, ready to copy IFR clearance to Catania, Catania Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 07 climb and maintain 9,000 feet. Departure frequency is 125.5 squawk 5077.
Right as the cabin safety briefing continues, I want to talk about the second piece of payware in this episode. Those of you who have watched my 2 previous videos on Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, you already know that I'm using GSX-pro. I know this episode is about flying for free and GSX-pro costs £35. But to be clear, guys, I wasn't going to uninstall this mammoth product just for this episode. And before GSX, I was using Toolbar Pushback, an incredible piece of freeware that you can download from Flightsim.to that will give you excellent pushback. Something that in my opinion is quite frankly mandatory when you're flying these commercial jets.
Please parking brake. Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at wheel.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Unlocking gear. No track disconnected. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear, right is clear.
taxi to and hold short of runway 07 via taxiway Romeo Mike Sierra Hotel Bravo Tango Hotel Bravo Alpha Echo cross runway 34 left. Contact tower on 118.7 when ready.
Taxiing hold short runway 07 via taxiway Romeo Mike Sierra Hotel Bravo Tango Hotel Bravo Alpha Echo cross runway tree for left to Taro 138 tree.
Except for GSX, all of the sounds that you heard during pushback and startup were part of the fantastic fly-by-wire Airbus A320 add-on for Microsoft Flight Simulator. The incredibly metallic paint scheme that I got for the fly-by-wire Airbus 320 in ITA colours was also picked up free of charge from Flightsim.to, and right now the ITA livery is one of my favourite. I realise that they're a brand new airline rising from the ashes of Alitalia, but I really do think their bold paint scheme goes way beyond anything you're seeing in the boring humdrum European white livery of most other carriers in this part of the world. The scenery that you're seeing here at Rome Fiumicino is absolutely stock to the sim. It's not even one of Microsoft and Asobo's handcrafted airports. I believe that MK Studios have released a payware version of Rome Fiumicino, but I've not bothered purchasing it yet because I think this free out-of-the-box version is good enough for pretty well anyone. Right, they're currently operating multiple runways here at Rome today, so it's time for me to take a shortcut to runway 07.
Ready to taxi IFR. Center 1222 taxi to and hold short of runway 07 using taxiway Hotel Bravo Tango Hotel Bravo Alpha Echo cross runway tree 4 left. Contact tower on 118.7 when ready. Itero 1 tree 8 tree QNH tree 0.11 wind 111 at tree.
Prepare for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff runway 07.
Cleared for takeoff runway 07 Itero 1 tree 8 tree.
Lufthansa 2 tree 2 exit runway when able.
definitely think that FlyByWire have done an absolutely incredible job at modelling the systems on board this Airbus A320neo. And thinking back to my days flying in Prepared 3D version 4.5 and the Aerosoft Airbus which I paid for, this version is probably even better. So as I've been vectored towards the next waypoint, I also want to remind you that the traffic being injected into the sim is from FSLTL, which is also a free gift to the Microsoft Flight Sim community. I've been using this software for the last few weeks, replacing Simple Traffic from Aerosoft, which cost something like £35. This traffic engine is even better, and what makes it even better isn't just that it's functionally better, but it was also free. And yeah guys, before anyone says anything, I did forget to go over to standard. So that's another black mark in my pilot logbook. But don't worry, I did notice it a little bit later on in the flight and fixed that. One of the key areas that is not modelled in this FlyByWire Airbus A320 is top of climb and top of descent. This was fully modelled and presented in the MFD in both the Aerosoft Airbus A320 family in Prepared and of course the Phoenix Airbus A320 that I'm currently flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator. You can, however, calculate your top of descent in the FlyByWire Airbus A320 using the EFB. You simply go to the calculation page on the EFB, synchronize your current altitude, and the EFB will calculate when you should start your descent. In this case, I'm only flying at flight level 280, so that's 88 miles. In this case, factoring in a 3 degrees glide slope on final.
I do want to remind you to please keep your seat elbows clear from the aisle as the flight attendants will be coming through the cabin with galley carts shortly. Also, one more reminder to please refrain from congregating with the front galley where the flight deck door is located. Thank you.
Because this is a fairly short flight of just around 1 hour from Rome up to Genoa, and I've just reached my cruising altitude of flight level 280 or 28,000 feet, it was time for me to insert the performance data for landing into the FMC. I was of course planning for ILS runway 28 at Genoa, and given that we departed Rome on runway 07, I was a tad concerned at this point that I would be landing on runway 10 at Genoa. And of course, on any normal flight I would have relished the challenge, because there's no ILS for runway 10 at Genoa and it's a very short right hand turn onto final. As I said, it's great fun, but not when you're trying to record one of these videos for YouTube. The good news was that I would be vectored into ILS runway 28 at Genoa, so this was going to be a fun approach. Mainly because of the stunning scenery in this northwestern Mediterranean coastline of Italy. And of course, the airport at Genoa is near the port, Italy's busiest port, I believe. So I will be making an approach into this small airport with the city to my right and the Mediterranean to my left. And talking about the scenery here at Genoa, it is absolutely free. I have upgraded the scenery. I did manage to find some really good scenery for Genoa and Genoa's international airport for Microsoft Flight Simulator on Flightsim.to. And you know guys, it is a fantastic representation of this little airport. I had purchased the payware from Aerosoft when I was flying in FSX and Prepared, so I really do think that this freeware scenery for Genoa is rather good, and I hope you will agree as we make our final approach and landing. As you can see, I've inserted a once around the block short hold before making my final approach into runway 28 at Genoa. The method behind my madness, after all guys, I'm just a Sunday pilot, was to get the aircraft slowed down and settled before I made my final approach. As I've said throughout the videos on this channel, I only get to indulge in my flight sim time at the weekends, and after 23 years of flying various flight simulators from FS98 to this new MSFS 2020, I still don't profess to be very good at it. I'm pretty well self-taught after watching many tutorial videos on YouTube and of course a lot of patience from the real Airbus pilot. So if I can achieve anything from this final video in my 3-part series on Microsoft Flight Simulator recorded in October 2022, to indulge in this quality of PC flight simulation, you don't need expensive study level aircraft or even third-party handcrafted airports. All you require is the most basic version of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 with some awesome free add-ons like this FlyByWire Airbus A320neo and of course FSLTL real-time traffic injection from Flight Radar 24, and you're all set guys. You will have at your fingertips on a home PC computer the rudimentary requirements and procedures to fly an aircraft such as this Airbus. I do accept guys that I'm flying with a fairly beefy PC. It's an i9 quad core with 32 gigs of RAM. I've got 4 1TB SSDs and the Nvidia GeForce 2080 super graphics card. To run Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, you don't require a PC of this performance, and you certainly don't require the premium deluxe version of the software that I have. At the end of the day, all of the airports that you're seeing in this episode are all available in the basic version of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 with some free add-ons like this FlyByWire Airbus A320 and of course FSLTL Traffic.
2,500.
On 118.6 Atero 1383. Genoa Tower Atero 13839 miles east inbound 4 DME Yankee runway 28 approach.
Atero 1383 Genoa Tower. QNH tree 0.171036 at 10. Cleared view or DME Yankee runway 28 approach.
Cleared view or DME Yankee runway 28 approach Atero 1383. Runway 28 Atero 1383.
QNH tree 0.161037 runway 28 approach. View or DME Yankee runway 28 approach, generic Echo Zulu Papa.
Five hundred. 400. 100 above. Minimum 200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. 10. 5.
So that's it, guys. It wasn't my best landing ever, but welcome to Genoa in Italy. And I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Sim Sunday Extra, where I've tried to show you what is possible out of the box in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 with free add-ons, such as this incredible Airbus A320neo by FlyByWire. And I do accept, guys, that I've not been able to get around the fact that I do have GSX-pro installed, and I did spend a whole £4.75 on SimSmart 2 for my takeoff performance calculations. But other than that, guys, everything that you've seen here in this episode is free and available from the basic version of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and a few free add-ons. So given at the time of recording this episode it is October 2022, I do believe that PC home flight simulation has finally come of age, and access to near study level aircraft like this FlyByWire Airbus A320neo couldn't be more available to everyone because it's free. And then when you include the awesome FSLTL Traffic generation engine for Microsoft Flight Simulator, you have such an immersive flight simulator available at your fingertips. So that's it, guys. As we taxi up to the terminal here at Genoa in northwest Italy, it's time to bring another episode of Sim Sunday to a close. My ultra long haul mini-series will continue on the channel to the end of the year, and who knows where PC flight simulation will take this channel in the new year. I'll of course will continue here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, but the big question will be, what will the real Airbus pilot do? I certainly think he's going to give X-Plane 12 a real run for its money, and I hope to bring you his opinions on PC flight simulation in Microsoft 2020 and X-Plane 12 from the point of view of a real Airbus pilot sometime next year. So until my next video, thank you very much for watching, and wherever you're flying in your virtual world, don't forget to fly safe.